pandemic.
We can, in fact, end this crisis. If he would only get together with the House and Senate, work out a compromise on the spending bills that are out there in order to deal with everything from being able to safely open our schools. It will cost $200 billion to do it, but it's worth doing it.
And Biden pushed back on comments he hasn't been traveling, revealing he will go to Iowa and Wisconsin in the coming days, in addition to Florida and Georgia. Wall Street at the close, the stock market had its worst day in a month. The Dow lost 650 points, the Nasdaq minus 189, the S&P off 64 points. America is listening to Fox News.
This holiday season, more people will be mailing stuff than ever before. Stamps.com brings the post office and now UPS shipping right to your computer so you can mail and ship anything from the convenience of your home or office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and save money with deep discounts you can't even get at the post office. Like 5 cents off every stamp, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Print official stamps and labels right from your computer for any letter, package, or class of mail, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, schedule a pickup or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Don't spend a minute of this holiday season at the post office. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Go right now to Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
Florida is just one of many states with in-person early voting, and turnout has been strong.
Florida's early in-person voting period historically benefits Democrats, as the party usually sees more of its registered voters turn out than do Republicans. The GOP often sees more of theirs on Election Day, but with a week of early voting already completed, it's the Republicans who are ahead this time by about 250,000 votes. Democrats still lead in returned mail-in ballots. These numbers, posted by the Florida Division of Elections, only indicate that registered voters have cast ballots, not how they vote, or which candidates are leading. In Broward County, Florida, Eben Brown, Fox News.
The City Commission has released the 47,000 students Detroit Public Schools from more than a decade of state financial oversight, releasing full control of the district's finances to the city's elected school board. Michigan determined Detroit schools to be high risk in 2008 after the federal government raised questions about 53.
Frustrated with his increased workload and a litany of interpersonal problems, CLG software project manager William Garston brought a list of grievances Thursday to his supervisor Todd Watkins, an utterly powerless office functionary with no actual ability to resolve any problems.
Oh, no. I'm really glad that you're bringing this to me. This is great.
The 15-minute interaction, which was taken seriously by both parties, involved Garston laying out a series of work-related issues he's had recently, absolutely none of which Watkins has even the slightest authority to address.
Again, I'm sorry to be bothering you with all this stuff, Todd. I've reached a point where I was not under the...
This is important. We're gonna sort all this out.
Sources added that throughout the conversation, Watkins continually nodded his head and repeatedly assured Garston that his problems would be considered a top priority, despite the fact that he lacked the necessary clout to foster any change whatsoever within the company.
This is the Onion News Network.
And if you thought things couldn't get more infantile and aesthetically insulting than Fergie, Kesha, or Katy Perry, then you obviously haven't met 22-year-old Karonica, the latest and most horrid, talent-bereft pop monstrosity the music industry has ever sadistically forced down the American public's collective throat. She's here with us in the studio right now.
What?
Now tell us, Karonica, how did you first decide that you wanted to be the cipher through which the cynicism of a morally bankrupt industry is channeled?
Yo, I just do what I do. Know what I'm saying? It's like people just love my ish.
Right. You are in the middle of your sold-out Damn Girl tour.
Damn Girl, that's right.
Which is a heinous slap in the face to the English language, and will also travel to 47 cities, sapping the intellects of every young person along the way.
I said, damn girl, that's right.
There's no light in your eyes, Karonica.
I got nothing to say to the haters.
I hate you.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Welcome, everybody. It is Free Talk Live. Captain's log, stardate 10262020.
And there's Klingons on the starboard bow.
Yes, you better get those Klingons off quickly.
They're clinging.
Our toll-free number, of course, is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. You can call in and talk about, well, anything you'd like to, of course. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And we're just going to, I brought in some show prep, and then Ian also brought in some show prep, and we compared our show prep and made some decisions about what we're going to do. It seems,
as we always do.
Yeah, it seems that there are some new lockdowns coming, not just in the U.S., but also abroad.
Don't worry, it'll only be for 2 weeks.
2 weeks to flatten the curve.
What are we in?
That curve isn't flat by now.
What are we in, week 30?
35
or something?
Somewhere around there.
Of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve?
Yep.
Week 35 of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah. So let's just kick things off talking about these lockdowns. This from the Chicago Sun-Times. Suburban cook to be limited to outdoor drinking, dining 2 days after first snowfall.
They're doing a special lockdown just for one cook?
Guy. They're talking about a county.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just one guy. Yeah, just one cook out in the suburbs somewhere. No.
Given the random, arbitrary nature of what they've done up to this point, it would barely surprise me, I gotta say.
Bars and restaurants in suburban Cook County and downstate Metro East area will no longer be able to serve patrons indoors beginning Wednesday, as the state tries to curb a rise in coronavirus cases.
Right. Doesn't matter that the deaths aren't going up.
Yeah, of course, as the testing goes up,
the cases go
up because more people are getting tested. But
and it turns out there's a lot of people who have had and beaten the coronavirus without any sort of incident.
A lot of people have had it.
So it's not nearly as fatal as we thought it was when we thought it was 0.4%.
Yeah. What's funny is previous articles that we've read here on Free Talk Live have mentioned the fact that they sort of went retroactive on some folks who had visited overseas and that kind of a thing. Particularly, I remember coming out of the Seattle, Washington area, they were able to test somebody's sample. I don't know if it was a culture, a blood sample or something, from the previous November, prior to everything going on in China and that kind of a thing, and it sort of becoming popular in the news. And they found that people indeed had the COVID-19 prior to even this time last year.
Yeah, either that or their test is a crock.
Well, that's also a possibility, but my guess is that it's been around longer than the outrage has been around surrounding the thing. But, no matter. It doesn't matter if people aren't getting sick or people have had it and beat it. People have had it and didn't even know they had it. They're still going to close these bars and restaurants because they say so. In addition, outdoor service will end at 11 p.m. and meetings.
That's right, because, it gets more dangerous after dark.
Yeah, COVID is more active after 11 p.m. than any other time of the day somehow. And meetings, social events.
I'm the same way. I feel a certain kinship with the virus now.
Meetings, social events, and other gatherings will also be limited to 25 guests or 25% of overall room capacity in Region 10, which is suburban Cook County, and in Region 4, the Illinois suburbs of St. Louis, Missouri. So,
good luck having any kind of large event like a wedding.
The new restrictions were announced Monday by the governor's office and the Illinois Department of Public Health. I hate Illinois Nazis, and this sounds like Illinois Nazism, doesn't it?
They can't stop us. We're on a mission from God.
Hut, 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 hut. Governor J.B. Pritzker and Dr. Gozi Ezek, I'm probably butchering their names, the director of the Illinois Department of Public Health, also reported 4,729 new COVID-19 cases Monday for a total of 378,985 in the state since the pandemic began. I don't know.
Are they even going to bother to mention how many deaths there have been? Because the larger the case number, if the death number isn't rising rapidly, then it makes the death number look a lot more insignificant, right? So
absolutely it does.
They're
You're
going to have to eschew
spot on.
giving death numbers now because those aren't particularly noteworthy.
But it's the
and
first
not
time.
to be insensitive, obviously every death is, special to the guy who experiences it and his family. But in a matter of public policy, I mean, some people are going to die every day.
Yes.
No matter what you do.
It's the first time that the state's 7-day case average has exceeded 4,500. Well, of course, because
another arbitrary number.
As of Sunday night, 2,638 people were hospitalized. Of that number, 589 patients were in ICU and 238 were on ventilators. There seems to be a COVID storm on the rise, Pritzker said.
A COVID tempest and a COVID teapot.
An additional 17 deaths were also reported Monday, bringing the state's death toll to 9,522.
There it is.
Pritzker said there are no current plans to reopen the field hospital at McCormick Place. The field hospital was put in place earlier this year, but was decommissioned after serving only 38 patients.
Wow, that was money well spent.
Yeah. The state imposed similar restrictions Friday on bars and restaurants in DuPage, Kane, Kankakee, and Will counties. I'm probably not pronouncing those properly. And Chicago reimposed a ban on indoor service in bars. So,
by the way,
can't go to the bar now.
10,000 roughly. I'm rounding up here. It was 9,000 and change on the deaths. Just going to go ahead and give them the full 10,000 on this. Divided into 12.67 million people.
State of Illinois
is 0.0008. So 8% of 1%.
Wow.
In the whole year, right? We're talking about over an entire year.
Yeah.
How many suicides have there been in
Yeah, those numbers are hard to find right now.
Yeah.
Why, they don't talk about suicide.
Yeah, you know what other numbers are hard to find? Flu cases.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They just don't exist.
I ran into I didn't know she was a nurse, but I ran into a nurse who worked in a COVID ward in a gas station last night. And
they have a COVID ward in the gas station?
You'd think.
That's really a convenience store.
But no, I ran into this woman in the convenience store, and she came in. She was apologetic because she didn't have a mask. And I was like, it's all right. I ain't scared of you. And I said something about fake pandemic, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm a nurse. I work in a COVID ward." And I was like, "Oh, now I'm really gonna hear it." And she was like, "Yeah, it's all nonsense."
Wow.
Whoa.
That's amazing. Firsthand from a nurse, even.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. She said it's. People are dying of it, of course, but she said it's no worse than the flu.
Yeah, I mean, being a Midwesterner, I have no love for Illinois or Chicago, but those folks
or the flu.
Those folks do love to drink, and of course, they've now shut down bars again, and also instituted a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew for restaurants and other non-essential businesses. So your business can't be open unless it's between between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. So if you're a 24-hour joint, too bad, so sad. If you're a late night, you cater to the late night crowds. Too bad, so sad.
Screw all those people with schedules that keep them up at night. Maybe they work at night and they have a day off. They just want to go out or grab something after work after they get off at 3 a.m. Nope.
Not like they can quit their jobs and get $600 extra a week anymore either.
This latest round of tightened restrictions on indoor restaurant and bar service was announced on the same day that Chicago saw its first snowfall of the season. So, happy holidays, Chicago. No drinking for you.
Huh.
These restaurants.
Chicago's first snowfall. It was a cold day in hell.
They'll come back. Don't worry. The restaurants will come back after this shutdown.
Yeah,
right.
Of course they will. I mean, isn't it 1 in 6 so far permanently closed through the U.S.? I believe. If I remember the stat correctly.
No,
so
it was
far.
more
I think it was
than that.
60% according to Yelp.
Free Talk Live 855-450-3733. We've got more for you coming up.
News from news.bitcoin.com. The U.S. government moves to regulate cryptocurrencies after the Attorney General publishes enforcement framework. $4.8 billion still missing from the Silk Road. Some of the oldest Bitcoins were just moved. Is Satoshi Nakamoto back in the game? Publicly traded companies move more cash into Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com. On a multi-dimensional probe, the Syskov Trans-Temporal Vehicle Clio discovers two entire universes have been annihilated in a massive time-traveling accident. Robert Kaminsky and his crew race home with the news, only to learn their own universe is next. To pull off the impossible, they'll have to embrace the unpalatable by placing their trust in the admin, Syskov's xenophobic sister universe, and the same people who tried to kill them all only months before. The Valkyrie Protocol by David Weber and Jacob Hollow. Available October 6th, wherever books are sold. Visit Baen Books at baen.com for more.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk show program where you can talk about anything you want, anything at all. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And I'm Ian.
And I'm nobody.
And we have been talking about more lockdowns in suburban Cook County, Illinois, among other things. And, you know, the numbers, you did some napkin math there, Ian. You said it was 0.0008 of the population
that have died from, allegedly have died from COVID, because we know how pumped up those numbers have been. We looked at that earlier this year. So, just giving them their number and even rounding up, it's 0.0008. So 8% of a percent of the population has died from COVID, according to the official numbers in Illinois.
If you look at history, which, of course, so few people do, you will notice that none of this, I don't even know what to call it, these Nazi measures, these lockdowns, these, draconian orders from governors, and none of this happened for any other previous sort of thing that resembled a pandemic. And
but you better believe it's going to keep happening.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the previous things that resembled pandemics actually resembled pandemic.
Right. Whereas this one is, at best, a pandemic light.
Wouldn't that be at worst?
Well, okay. Depending
Depends
on
how you look at
on
it.
your perspective, I guess.
We meet it last. No, we meet it first.
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. Shaka when the walls fell.
Indeed.
So, at any rate, suburban Cook County has had 8 consecutive days of increases in test positivity and 7 days of increased hospital admissions, making it the first region in the state to meet the metrics for additional...
Arbitrary numbers have been reached, therefore now no business.
Yeah, you basically summed up the rest of the sentence. Met the metrics for additional mitigations in this way and surpass warning levels in 2 categories simultaneously, the governor's office said in a statement.
Warning levels.
We have done math.
I'll consider myself warned when somebody I know actually dies from this.
Right.
Or anything. If something actually is affecting people's lives who you know, then maybe you could call it a pandemic. So far, for most people, that is not the case at all.
Yeah. This article is pretty long, but the long and the short of it is that, well, I think they're being dumb. That's really the whole point.
Well, it isn't. That's actually not as bad as what's going on over in the UK, where I was sent a video that I shared with you, Captain Kickass. Now, obviously, we're on a radio show, so we have to describe this for you, but this is Wales and the UK. You're watching. Just go ahead and describe what you're seeing in this video.
So I'm seeing
it's a department
shelves
store.
At a department store where all of the merchandise on the shelves are there, but it's all wrapped in plastic wrap, saran wrap.
When you say it's all wrapped, you mean the entirety
of
the shelving units.
From top to bottom. All the merchandise is there as would normally be, but you can't just reach out and grab a thing and look at it or put it in your cart because there's plastic covering the entire shelving units.
There's warnings all over the place about how they're following so-called government guidance and that these are so-called non-essential items. And by the way, included in the non-essential items are cookware.
Yes, pots and pans.
So
children's clothing.
Yeah, you're not allowed to buy non-essential items, which includes cookware. So you need to make some food. You want to, reduce your costs of living by not having to go outside of the house, and turns out you need some cookware. Sorry.
Can't buy coffee mugs.
Nope. Everything is literally wrapped up, with the exception apparently of the Halloween candy, which is
that's
available.
Essential.
You can buy
Especially if you can't
magazines,
cook.
but not books.
Right.
You can buy a plastic jack-o'-lantern.
So when I saw this video, I thought, okay,
but no stationery.
What is going on here? Because this looks kind of similar to what we saw in some stores in the United States earlier this year. There were some stores that were also blocking off access to, I think it was in Michigan, they prohibited seeds.
Seeds, right, yeah. Can't grow your own vegetables. No
Vermont,
seeds for you.
I think.
Vermont also had
Vermont,
that.
You're right, yeah.
So there were certain things that were being blocked off in the U.S., but this seems to have taken it to a step or 2 or 5 steps further and literally blocking off a large swath of this entire department store.
That's just nuts, man.
The story coming from the BBC, where Greater Manchester's population of 2.8 million people joined Liverpool's City region and Lancashire in England's highest tier of restrictions at midnight. This was over this weekend. A story coming, I think, Friday or Saturday of this weekend. According to the story, The 3.1 million people in Wales will have to stay at home as a 17-day lockdown begins. It comes as a minister said there was a, quote, common purpose here to get the virus down, he said, so people could enjoy Christmas. See, this is the plan, they say. They're going to have an intense lockdown for 17 days.
Happy holidays.
And then everything will be back to normal, and we'll just be having a great Christmas together. You believe that one, right?
Nope. I sure don't.
Oh, damn. I had a watch I wanted to sell you.
Quote, I think a few people expect it to be exactly as it would normally, said Chief Secretary to Treasury Stephen Barclay, but the ability of families to spend Christmas together was something we all hope to be in a position to do, he said. Welsh Health Minister Vaughan Gething.
Say that 5 times.
Yeah, said the
Welsh
lockdown.
Health Minister
said the lockdown in Wales was happening now, so quote, we can have a much more normal Christmas season for businesses, unquote. So if you businesses can survive 17 days with absolutely no sales whatsoever, everything will be just fine after that. The UK recorded another 189 deaths and 21,000 plus new confirmed cases on Thursday. Warrington has become the latest place placed into Tier 3, or the very high alert level.
Oh, this thing's caused more than 3 tiers, I guarantee.
Yeah.
Nottingham and parts of Nottinghamshire are also expected to be moved into Tier 3.
Are they going to send the sheriff of Nottingham if they don't behave?
They might. And maybe Robin Hood will actually come back.
We need him.
Yeah. The Tier 3 alert level means that people cannot mix with other households, and pubs and bars will be closed unless they're serving substantial meals. Some areas in the top tier.
How substantial do they have to be?
Yeah, like what does that mean? Like Hungry Man, or some TV dinners that are big, or
they'll know it when they see it.
Almost certainly fish and chips.
The top tier, some of them have gone further, closing businesses such as bingo halls, casinos, betting shops, and soft play centers. Is that like airsoft? Soft play?
Sounds like a whorehouse to me.
It does.
Maybe it's those blow-up bouncy houses or something.
Or blow-up dolls.
Yeah, maybe. It could be. Could be any of those things, I reckon.
You shan't be mixing in outdoor private gardens, according to Tier 3, or anywhere inside, and people are advised against traveling into or out of the area.
You shall call 855-450-3733. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. D-I-V-I Project.org.
From New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling author Larry Correia comes the latest chapter in the epic military fantasy saga of The Forgotten Warrior. When the Grand Inquisitor perverts the law in his genocidal plot to kill every man, woman, and child in the untouchable cast, only the traitor Ashok Vadal and the Sons of the Black Sword stand in his way. If it's war he wants, it is war he will get. Baen Books presents Destroyer of Worlds. Available September 1st, wherever books are sold. Visit MonsterHunterNation.com for more.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in. This is Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. I am your host, the Lord Reverend Captain Kickass. I have too many names. I gotta figure out how to shorten that. And with me in the studio, it's
Ian.
And nobody.
And our toll-free number is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. And you can give us a call, talk about whatever you'd like, take control of the airwaves. You can comment on anything we're talking about tonight or anything we've talked about previously. If you've heard something on a previous episode, you're welcome to do so. Tonight, so far, we've been talking about more lockdowns, not just in the U.S., but apparently around the globe.
Wait a minute. Don't worry. After the election, this is all going away.
After the selection?
There are actually people who believe this.
Why would anybody believe that?
I don't know. Because it seems obvious to me that if people do what they're told, they're going to keep getting more of what they've always gotten. And so people have always been pretty obedient, and so now they've been told to be even more obedient. They're showing that they can absolutely handle this obedience, so the government's going to come up with more of it. And we're seeing that it's happening in Cook County in Illinois, and you found a few more things you wanted to share about that, I think, but also in Wales in the UK, Manchester over in the UK, they're cranking up to so-called Tier 3. Hearing so much about tiers just makes me think about prison. That's a term you hear in prison.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like how?
Like what tier of the prison are you in?
Oh, as far as
the maximum
level,
security
right,
tier?
Right, or are you in the minimum, or yeah.
And lockdown's also a word
Lockdown
they use.
Definitely is a prison
in jail
term.
and prison. And also Newark, apparently, according to Fox5NY.com, they have reinstated a curfew for so-called non-essential businesses, much like what's going on in the UK. So don't think for a moment this won't happen near you. Beginning October 27th, that's tomorrow, all stores except supermarkets, pharmacies, and gas stations must close at 8 p.m.
Wow.
Because new cases, they say. And then further, beauty salons, nail salons, barbershops can only accept customers by appointment. And gyms and health clubs must close for half an hour each hour for sanitizing.
Jeez.
Can you imagine?
and they're going to have to hire like specific people or train them specifically to do all this sanitization.
So what does that mean if you're actually in the gym at the time? You have to have less than a half hour long, set that you're doing?
I know some people with crazy workout schedules too. You know what I mean? Like,
Can you only do? Are they going to kick everybody out of the gym? Sorry guys. So we got to close down for a half hour here and spray everything down, and then we'll reopen in another half hour. You can come back in. What?
Yeah, the mechanics of this thing have not been thought through.
You want to run a gym now, basically at not only whatever the reduced capacity would be, right? Because I'm sure there's some reduced capacity rules as far as they can't be at 100%. That's almost, it's New Jersey. They must have that rule in place. So factor in the reduced capacity, the total number of people they could have in. Now cut that in half by the number of hours. So you can't even have the people, the reduced capacity, you can't even have them in the entire time.
Right.
So you basically can't do business.
It becomes very obvious to me after, having been here on this show and doing, show prep for these topics and that kind of a thing, that it has absolutely nothing to do with your health and everything to do with government wanting more control over you and to essentially make you more of a slave than you are currently. It seems to me. Do you see anything but that? I don't see anybody having any choice. I don't see them, talking to, any sort of advisory board, any sort of citizens boards. They seem to be just
it wouldn't matter anyways.
Making these rules arbitrarily, just at their whim about, this is what we're going to do.
Well,
and you best obey.
Captain, even if they had citizens boards, that wouldn't make any difference anyway, because the people
citizens have the brains of peasants.
Well, there's the ignorance, but also the people who would be attracted to positions like that are just the kind of people you don't want on those citizens boards. These are people
I got to admit, I would be attracted to that position now.
Well, you're one of the rare people, because most people who are productive do not want to spend their time on citizens boards.
You're right, because this article that I was referencing earlier, the Chicago Sun-Times even says this guy Toya, who's a restaurant association head, doesn't advocate that its members disobey the governor's order. So. Yeah, surprise. He says, we always want to hear what the doctors and scientists have to say. I don't understand. If he wants to hear what the doctors and scientists have to say, go talk to some doctors and scientists. Stop talking to politicians.
If you were open, the doctors and scientists could come in and have lunch.
He does say that the measures outlined today will result in the permanent closures of countless restaurants, eliminating thousands of jobs and damaging communities.
The further permanent closures, because there have been a bunch of them already.
Yes. Let's go to some of your calls and your thoughts. We have Phoenix calling from Toledo, Ohio. Phoenix, you are on Free Talk Live.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm currently in Toledo, Ohio, but I spent the weekend in my hometown of Aurora in Illinois. It's in Kane County, which you guys listed on as, to be shut down by J.B. Prickster. I just want to give you guys, a little bit of hope. There is pushback.
Really?
I was coming through town, and I hit up a friend of mine. He works as a KJ. He does karaoke.
Okay.
And I asked him, what's open, what's going on? He's like, well, there's a few bars that are still open, and he pointed me towards one of them that was pretty close to where I was headed. And it was like going to a bar in 2018. It was amazing.
Where was this, though? Where are you talking about?
This was in Montgomery, Illinois.
Okay.
This is right there in Kane County. Just south of Aurora, where I live.
So that's not related to Cook County, then, where the really intense restrictions are going into play.
Well, my understanding is it's all the same. The bar wasn't supposed to be open. And there was an 11 o'clock curfew.
Oh wow!
Nobody had any masks on.
Nice.
The bartenders simply said, we're just going to stay open till I feel like leaving, and we stayed open. Nobody had any masks on. We watched some Game 4 of the World Series. It was a blast.
Thank goodness for the rural areas, man.
I love it, man. And
yes,
yes,
this isn't even a rural area. This is like 5 minutes outside of Aurora, and Aurora is the second largest city in Illinois.
Okay,
right,
so it's suburban.
This isn't even rural. Yeah, it's suburban, but yeah, it was great. Of course, I tipped her 100%.
Wow.
Because putting her butt out there like that, heck yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm jealous.
It was great. Got to get that pushback more. That's the only thing that's going to really stop any of this, if anything really can.
Yeah, well, we appreciate the call, Phoenix. I do have.
Thanks for the update on that.
I do have a companion piece that I did bring, and I don't think it's related to the same county. This is from NBCChicago.com that says that there are 70 suburban businesses who have met, and they have agreed to continue serving customers indoors despite state order.
Yay!
So, Phoenix, you are absolutely correct. And thank you for the call tonight.
That's what it takes.
There is some pushback. This article says 70 local businesses met Thursday night agreeing to keep serving customers indoors despite a new state order, a Bradley restaurant owner said. Thomas Spellman, owner of Hoppy Pig, said his restaurant will continue serving patrons inside, defying Governor Pritzker's new order on some regions to cease indoor dining to lessen the spread of the coronavirus.
Excellent.
Quote, we have families. I have 40 employees, They have families. They have houses. They have kids. And they have to pay for school, he said.
Non-essential. Shut down. Non-essential.
He said the government's not paying for them. We don't want the government to pay for us. We just want to do business the way we do business.
Don't worry. The government won't pay for you. So, you got to do what you got to do. Good for them for actually taking the risk here and standing up against the governor.
Stefan and Ari Fruns, owners of Stafari Cafe in Kankakee, said they feel as though they are being unfairly targeted by the new mitigations. We've always been doing everything that's right, but for some reason, we're always the one being punished the most, and I don't understand why. I don't think it's fair, quote unquote.
I know why, and I can tell you soon.
855-450-3733 is our phone number. We'll talk more about some of the pushback against some of these insane lockdown orders and more coming up. Free Talk Live.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from MyPatriotSupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's MyPatriotSupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Are you afraid to go to the mailbox because of letter after letter from the IRS? Are they stacking on more and more penalties and interest? By now, you know the problem won't go away on its own. Don't let the IRS chase you to your grave with penalties and interest and liens and levies. You need real help now. I'm Dan Pilla. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I help thousands of people solve tax problems they thought couldn't be solved. I can help you too. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com. danpilla.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live, everybody. Our toll-free number is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, like freedom. And you're free to call in and take control of the airwaves, talk about anything you'd like. I am your host tonight, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
And I'm Ian.
I'm nobody.
And I wanted to tell you that Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or even meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. That's local.bitcoin.com. Let's just go right ahead to some of your calls and thoughts as soon as the mouse cooperates with me. There it is. Breaking the Flaw is calling from New Hampshire. Breaking the Flaw, you are on Free Talk Live.
Hey. How y'all doing?
What's on your mind?
All right. How you doing, bro?
So I was just want to let you guys know I went to the Concord PD a couple weeks ago, and I tried to go into the lobby. I don't know if you guys know about my channel, but I'm doing First Amendment audits. And
oh, cool.
We should have access to our
what's your channel?
Our lobbies. Breaking the Flaw.
Okay, gotcha.
Nice.
And so I tried to get in, and I wasn't able to get in because the door's locked, and they were on the little speakerphone they have on the outside, like the ring phones they have. They were like, "Hey, how's it going? Can we help you?" And I was like, "I just want to take some pictures of the lobby, And they wouldn't let me in without a mask, and I said I was exempt, and they asked why. Because I was human.
Nice.
And, I was like, look, I even offered to hold my breath so that an officer can hold the door for me. I'll hold my breath for as long as I can, and then I'll leave.
Right.
I even offered to put earplugs in. I even offered to put a condom on and a butt plug in. They still wouldn't let me in.
And still no love, huh?
No.
How long have you been doing these videos?
I've been doing it for a few years.
And are they all in New Hampshire?
No, I just recently moved to New Hampshire, but
really?
I mostly did in Rhode Island and Boston and that sort of thing.
Well, welcome to New Hampshire. What brought you up here?
Freedom. Since this whole pandemic, it's just been crazy. I'd rather come up here and experience freedom. And most of the time, I don't have to wear a mask. I don't like to wear a mask, but sometimes you just kind of have to wherever you go. But I try not to everywhere I go.
Yeah, there's several places that have the mask mandates because in New Hampshire it's not a statewide mandate, so it's based on the cities themselves. So there's still very few of them, but when you do run into it, it's the same as it is in the places where the state it's very draconian.
Sure, but even in the towns that have those mandates, I walk in without mask.
Oh, yeah. I don't go anywhere with a mask on. The only time I've ever put one on in the entire year was one bank in Hillsborough. I had to send a wire transfer, and they refused to allow me in, even with a medical objection. Everywhere else, most people don't even say anything. But if you do bring up that you have a medical exemption, then it usually solves the problem. In my experience.
There are people who aren't educated enough to know that there's even an exemption, and you can get into some interesting conversations with people for certain, in which you must maintain your cool, even though they aren't. So I appreciate what you're doing, man.
Hey, I love that we got somebody new up here making videos. I mean, that's fantastic. And you look familiar. Did you ever come up here for like the Porcupine Freedom Festival in the past or something?
Yeah, I went there for a day this last year,
Right
and I've been up there a few times. Yep.
Cool.
I've been in the studios. I've hung out with you guys.
Right on.
Awesome.
Well, come on out and see us again out in
too.
Keene one of these days.
All right, thanks for the call tonight. Breaking the Flaw, everybody.
That's his channel on YouTube.
So
we need more people like that to come up here.
We do. And in
really
fact, if you are of the freedom mind, you believe that freedom is important, you have experienced your own personal philosophies change to be one of freedom, peace, and tolerance, then we encourage you to get here now, because time is running short. If you think that this stuff is going to end, all of these lockdowns and these mask mandates and government overreach of the highest level, no, this is just the beginning, and it's going to get worse. So if you want
all the evidence says it is.
If you want to get together with other freedom lovers, please get your ass to New Hampshire.
You better, because eventually it might be very difficult. It might be difficult to leave where you are. I mean, they're already telling people in London and the UK that they're not allowed to basically go in or out of the so-called Tier 3.
Yep.
And there's no reason why levels of enforcement like that won't come here too.
Yeah. And if you think about it, just think about where you are and ask yourself, are there enough people out there, wherever you are, that care, that you're even going to be able to put up a fight? Wouldn't you rather be somewhere where you can at least, if we gathered the libertarians all in one place and we made a stand, we could hold some territory, but it won't be as big as the United States. If we try to hold the whole United States, we'll lose it all.
Yep. So in my mind, that is the best strategy for you if you are of the freedom philosophy.
Didn't nobody have something he wanted to share, like a quote or something that was related to the discussion we were having?
He was going to tell us why.
Yes, somebody didn't understand why this was happening to them.
What was this? Sorry, the whole lockdown thing? Or
yeah, the whole.
Yeah, it was from the article.
Thing.
It was one of the restaurant owners saying, "I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this is happening to us."
Yeah. Well, this is an answer from Frederick Douglass, a man who was no stranger to trouble. He was born into slavery, and he escaped. And when talking about slavery, he said, this struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, and it may be both, moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them, and these will continue till they are resisted with either words or blows or with both. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. In the light of these ideas, Negroes will be hunted at the North and held and flogged in the South so long as they submit to these devilish outrages and make no resistance, either moral or physical. Men may not get all they pay for in this world, but they must certainly pay for all they get. If we ever get free from the oppressions and wrongs heaped upon us, we must pay for their removal. We must do so by labor, by suffering, by sacrifice, and if needs be, by our lives and the lives of others.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if we could just tell the bureaucrats to leave us alone? It never works that way, though. You've got to be willing to stand up. You've got to be willing to say no.
Yeah, everybody's under this illusion, and I don't mean everybody. I mean most people in the United States of America are under this illusion that the politicians work for the people. They don't. They work for themselves and their buddies.
Well, the Constitution will protect you.
The Constitution is a piece of paper.
The Constitution has either authorized such government as we have had, or it has been powerless to prevent it. In either case, it is unfit to exist.
I'd like to see somebody that has a, person in a costume with, some guns, possibly even pointed at them, hold up this piece of paper called the Constitution and see how much protection they get from it.
Restaurants, by the way, according to Fox5NY.com, this is, again, the story about Newark. Cracking down. Just I wanted to add a couple more of the requirements. This is the same place where, again, they're going to be forcing gyms and health clubs to close for a half an hour every hour for sanitizing. Just to give you a levels check on how insane this is. Restaurants must end indoor dining by 8 p.m. and outdoor dining by 11 p.m. Why? No idea.
There's no apparent reason for that.
COVID's got an 11 p.m. bedtime, apparently.
Well, you have to have the indoor dining at 8 p.m. So you can set the COVID outside until 11, and then after that, everybody has to go
probably
home.
gets fussy after late at night, right? It eats, and then it's fine. It's fine, but then it has to sort of digest its food, and so then by 11 p.m. it's got a bedtime. So you must also be in bed by that time.
So also they will be allowed to deliver and take out with no indoor ordering or lines. So if you want to do takeout in the city of Newark and you don't have a phone, sorry, you can't.
Oh, geez.
You have to call in the order. You can't walk in and say, I want to order takeout.
That is... we are beginning to reach peak dumb, I think.
You also have to have your temperature taken if you are coming inside to a restaurant.
855-450 free is our number. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
All but a done deal. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Senate expected to vote later this hour on President Trump's third nominee to the Supreme Court.
We're going to vote to confirm Amy Coney Barrett as the 115th justice on the Supreme Court. The vote will probably start around 7:30 with a resolution by 8 o'clock. We expect 52 yeas for her, but Democrats are still complaining about the process. There's a lot of attention on Lisa Murkowski, Republican of Alaska. She said over the weekend that she would vote yes to confirm Barrett, even though she repeatedly said she thought that confirming a justice this close to the election is wrong.
Fox's Chad Pergram. With 8 days until the election, both candidates in the final push. Former Vice President Biden in Chester, Pennsylvania, he pushed back on comments that he hasn't been out and about.
The big difference between us and the reason why it looks like we're not traveling, we're not putting on super spreaders. We are doing what we're doing here. Everybody's wearing a mask and trying as best we can to be socially distanced.
The president held several rallies in Pennsylvania today.
For the last half century, Joe Biden's been outsourcing your jobs right here in Pennsylvania. You were one of the biggest victims of it. Opening your borders and sacrificing American blood and treasure in endless foreign wars.
President Trump narrowly won Pennsylvania in 2016. A state of emergency declared in Louisiana as Hurricane Zeta, now a Category 1 storm, is expected to reach the Gulf by midweek.
Please monitor 511la.org for road closures. Pay very close attention to the Weather Channel, to your local weather sources, and heed the instructions of your local officials.
Governor John Bel Edwards, this is the 8th state of emergency he's issued this hurricane season. Zeta is the earliest ever 27th named storm of the Atlantic season. America is listening to Fox News.
The holidays are just around the corner, and Blinds.com, the #1 online retailer of custom window treatments in the world, wants to help you turn your home into the picture-perfect background for festivities with family by offering you a chance to win a contact-free holiday home makeover worth $2,000. Plus amazing prizes each week for that special and cherished space you call home. With Blinds.com, making your home more beautiful is always easy and affordable. Enter for your chance to win, and you could transform your home into the perfect holiday hideaway. Blinds.com has helped millions of homeowners. Plus, they guarantee the perfect fit for your windows. Go to Blinds.com right now to enter for your chance to win your holiday home makeover worth $2,000. And check out this week's special savings on top quality blinds, shades, interior shutters, and more. No purchase necessary. Rules and restrictions may apply. See Blinds.com for details.
Turnout was high over the weekend as New York began early voting.
Voters across the country, man, oh man, had there been long lines at Madison Square Garden here in New York City, where lines over the weekend were around the block. Election officials say so far more than 58.5 million Americans have voted. Early voting kicked off in New York State on Saturday. In New York City, nearly 94,000 people voted. That's double the number that turned out over the 9 days for the whole primary that occurred in June.
Fox's Eric Shawn in New York City. Federal prosecutors have asked a judge to give them an extra 40 days to seek an indictment from a grand jury against 6 men who authorities say were plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, saying they're sorting through evidence, including explosive device components. 6 men are charged in federal court. 8 more believed to be members or associates of a group called the Wolverine Watchmen are charged in state court with providing material support for terrorist acts. The former chief of police in Chicago accused of domestic.
If you're looking for work, or even if you're not, here's an innocent mistake you really want to avoid. Never return calls before listening to your voicemail. Your wireless phone sends calls you didn't answer into voicemail, and it shows you phone numbers for calls you missed. Important. Don't call back callers you missed until you have first listened to your messages. Otherwise, you frustrate people who bothered to leave messages by asking them to repeat a message they just left as your voicemail greeting instructed them to. If you're a job applicant, this alone could be a deal killer. And even if you're not, there are few things you can convey to someone that are as fundamentally maddening as, "I didn't hear you." With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
From 1941, when an amoeba became the first single-celled organism to play professional baseball, to 1794, when Thomas Jefferson more than likely did something historically significant. The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On May 25, 1925, Tennessee teacher John T. Scopes was formally indicted for teaching the theory of evolution in a public school after a monkey called to the stand failed to turn into a human.
Sir, you have been on the witness stand for a full 3 hours now, and in this time we haven't seen you lose any of your hair or shed your tail. Can you at least articulate a single justifiable reason why Mr. Darwin's theory should even be mentioned in our nation's classrooms?
And on May 27, 1995, actor Christopher Reeve came in last place in a horseback riding event.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the live call-in talk show radio program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything you'd like to. Tonight in the studio, it's myself, the captain.
And Ian.
And nobody.
And we are talking tonight about, well, more insanity. We're beginning to reach peak dumb, and apparently more lockdowns are coming, being implemented as we speak, not only in several locations in the U.S., but also around the globe, because, well, governments just don't have enough control over you and your lives and how you operate your business and when you can and can't go to work and keep your business open and when you must not be in the streets and all sorts of assorted other things. There is a little bit of good news, and that is 70 suburban businesses in the Chicago area have met and agree to continue serving their customers despite the state order.
No, wait a minute. Is it suburban businesses or are they all restaurants? Because I thought it was all restaurants. No?
Well, they are businesses. Restaurants would be a business.
Sure. But
it says 70 local businesses met Thursday night, agreeing to keep serving customers indoors despite the new state order. Now, I imagine these are all restaurants. At least the people that they've interviewed here with quotes are restaurateurs for sure. Spiro Rumpus, owner of Keys Steak and Seafood in Glendale Heights, said his business is following social distancing and mask guidelines, but, quote, I'm not forcing any employees to be here. This is all by their will. I'm not forcing customers to be here. I totally respect and understand if somebody chooses not to come here, Rumpus said. He posted his announcement to Facebook on Wednesday and said the reaction has been mostly positive. They're going by everybody's rules and staying apart from everybody and cleaning and disinfecting, and I don't see a problem with it, customer Ron Tennant said. We're here to stay open, and we believe we live in a free country, Rumpus added. I'm sorry, Mr. Rumpus. I applaud you standing up to the state, but...
this is a guy in Illinois saying this.
Yeah. We do not live in a free country.
Look, I got to say, I'm glad that some people have found their limit.
Yes.
That's good, right? I don't want to make fun of somebody for being late to the party, right? Okay, great. You're finally putting your foot down and you're saying this is far enough.
Yes.
We've jumped through all these hoops. Look at all the hoops we're jumping through.
And we're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, good. I'm glad that they've decided to do this, and I hope that it doesn't result in them being arrested or possibly
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said police can issue citations to restaurants and bars that defy state order, potentially removing their liquor licenses. Of course, we know that already here on Free Talk Live. The governor also said police will likely start with issuing warnings prior to giving citations for neglecting to follow his new requirements for the 4 regions. Rumpus said, I'm not trying to do this to be a martyr or a hero. I'm just trying to do this to put food on my table, to put food on my employees' table, and to keep the community going. So you're right. He has reached his limit. He's had enough of it. He's finally taking a stand.
Well, he can see the writing on the wall. He knows that if he doesn't do this, he's going to go out of business.
Yep.
Okay, you either do what you're told and you never open again because, well, you've just whittled down your customer base and whittled down your employee base, and you still got to pay rent this whole time. So, you either do what you're told and fail, or you can take a risk and go up against the state, and maybe you can keep your doors open if they don't come and absolutely crush you under the treads of their tanks.
Right.
So to speak.
People,
the Bearcat.
People are under this illusion that just because somebody says they're from government that you have to listen to what they say. These people have no right to tell you how to run your business at all. None.
They don't. But unfortunately, you have given them that control by asking them for permission in the first place.
Well,
now, I realize
through licensing, yes.
Yeah, and I understand why they do it. Right? Like our former co-host, Chris Reitman, has been working on opening up a convenience store this year, and part of that process has been begging state agents for government permits.
Yep.
I get why they do it. It's just, really, we have no one to blame but ourselves.
Well, licensing is when they take away your right to do something and sell it back to you for a cost at the threat of, well, government agents, men with guns and costumes with badges, going to come and either revoke your license, and then if you continue to do business, they purport the authority to throw you into a cage and or end your life if you resist.
It's a misdemeanor charge, I believe the second time in New Hampshire. We did the research, I think it was the real Christopher Cantwell in our chat room there. He found the actual statutes. It's a violation the first time if you're like running a restaurant without permission slip, and then after that it's a misdemeanor. So you might go to jail. Because they take their monopoly on control very, very seriously. And they can't possibly have somebody out there doing what they want. Because if there's a business owner out there who's like, oh, well, I'm just going to open my doors without a license. Come on in. Oh, you don't feel comfortable? Fine. You don't have to come in. You feel comfortable? Come on in. We'll serve you. You can take whatever risks you want. We've got third-party certifications over here. We don't need the government license to prove to you that we're clean. We don't need the government license to prove to you that we're safe. We can do all of that on our own through market mechanisms. And if that happened, the government would crack down on that person because it makes them look like they are not needed.
And that's when the militia is needed
to stand
come
by
out and give them the support they need, keep their business open.
Yeah, that would be really wonderful if we were there right now. But unfortunately, we don't have the businesses willing to step out, with the exception of a scant few. And we don't have enough people together who are willing to actually make a stand on their behalf.
Certainly seems that way.
There's a lot of pressure involved in this, and it's not just coming from the government. There's also social pressure as well. And I think it's worth mentioning that one of our local restaurants here in the area, I won't say which one.
All the people are putting social pressure on people. They're too afraid to socialize anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. They are. But nonetheless, people still feel that pressure. And they don't want to upset, especially a business owner in a small town. They don't want to upset, or a big city, they don't want to upset what they perceive as their customer base.
Right.
And if they feel like they're going to alienate their customer base, they won't do it. That's why you've got these restaurateurs in this article from Chicago saying, look over here, we're doing all this sanitizing. Look over here, we're doing the social distancing. Look at all the hoops that we're jumping through. We're making people wear masks. You got to get your temperature checked at the door. Here's all the hoops we're jumping through. See, we just want to open. Can't we just please open? We're willing to do everything you tell us. We just want to open. And they're doing that because maybe they believe it, or maybe they don't really believe it, but they think their customers do.
Or
and
maybe
so
they've forgotten what America is about, because the British didn't give us our freedom. We took it.
Nope.
We took it by force.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can get freedom.
We saw today an example of how this system works, right? They went to a local guy who I won't say who it is, but it's a local favorite here of the activist community. He runs guy runs a restaurant here in town.
Okay.
And this person had not had any signage up in recent months. He did have it up for a couple weeks during the height of things several months ago, but there hasn't been any signage at this place for a while. The individual who runs the business is always there. It's him and his family, and he had not had a mask on until like a week ago. And then all of a sudden we noticed that he was putting on a mask when certain customers came through the door.
Oh, boy.
And now he's putting on a mask all the time. And what I heard today from one of our co-hosts, Chris, from the Friday night co-host that we have
let me
here,
guess. Did he get paid a visit by some agents of the government?
Yes. He was paid a visit by what Chris thought were cops, and they might as well have been, but they technically weren't cops. I spoke with the gentleman who owns the business today to find out what happened. It was the city health department who had come in. They slapped down a copy of the 2-page ordinance that the city council came out with in August that mandates masks inside and outside of businesses. And they didn't give him anything else. They just gave him a stern talking to about, hey, you've got to follow this. It's for health, it's safety, blah, 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 protect customers, et cetera, et cetera. They didn't actually give him a notice, so there wasn't like a threat with his name on it.
Right.
So there's not an actual record of this happening. So if I were to ask the city for a list of businesses that they've given written notices to, this would not show up because it was just 2 agents coming in, intimidating, saying you got to put on a mask.
Isn't that how mafia works?
Yes.
That's exactly.
A couple
how
of
the
guys
mafia
show up and, they're all tough and muscle and they go, hey, you need to do this kind of a thing or else, buddy.
And you know what? It worked. He's wearing a mask.
855-450-3733. Is the government just a mafia? We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. News from news.bitcoin.com. The U.S. government moves to regulate cryptocurrencies after the Attorney General publishes enforcement framework. $4.8 billion still missing from the Silk Road. Some of the oldest Bitcoins were just moved. Is Satoshi Nakamoto back in the game? Publicly traded companies move more cash into Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
In order for this government to be legitimate, it had to have been legitimate in the first place. And that means that every person who was involved, who was on the North American continent at the time, had to have agreed to it. And if it was set up by force, if it was set up at the point of a bayonet, then it wouldn't be legitimate. It wouldn't be any more legitimate than me sticking a knife in your ribs and saying, give me your wallet. Oh, you gave me the wallet. It's legitimate. So the very fact that this government was set up by force, it was set up by killing other people, means that it's not legitimate.
That doesn't even go into the fact that everyone who set it up is long dead. It's been assumed to be this real thing, this valid thing because of the magic scroll. They wrote a magic scroll. You know, they got out a piece of paper and wrote it down, and voila, and now it's a real thing that has legitimacy, right?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You can call, take control of the airwaves, and talk about anything you want. It's Free Talk Live. We've been talking about some stuff tonight, and we'll continue with a bit of that, mostly about more lockdowns and how people are
It's getting worse.
And how people are just allowing it to happen. It seems that the folks in the quote-unquote freest nation in the world, which I don't believe it is,
not anymore,
don't have balls. And, most people aren't standing up to this because they just want to go along to get along.
Yep.
So.
Balls, said the Queen. If I had him, I'd be king.
You've heard us talk about Divi here on Free Talk Live, and maybe you've wanted to set up one of their easy-to-deploy master nodes or even stake Divi so that you can begin earning Divi right now. Ian says that setting up a Divi master node was super easy, and staking was even easier. We're not investment advisors here on Free Talk Live, but we think you'll be impressed with your earning potential with Divi as compared to traditional investment vehicles. Go to diviproject.org and get started. You can buy Divi at several exchanges or directly from the Divi team. You need help? There's a link to their Telegram channel right on the front page at diviproject.org, D-I-V-I project.org. Ian, you said you had a little bit more on the Newark thing.
Yes, including a quote from the mayor.
Okay, we'll get back to that. But first, let's go to Penguin calling from Virginia. He's watching online. Penguin, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, howdy, guys. Just wanted to get your opinion on something. You got the heavy hitter libertarians on the panel tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so turtlenecks, yay or nay?
Like the sweaters?
I guess you'd call them a sweater. Turtleneck sweaters, turtleneck sweatshirts, yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of experience with them. I mean, they don't really attract me, especially if they're like made out of wool. Then they'd get really itchy.
Yeah, I don't really wear them. I used to wear, it was sort of a junior turtleneck. It wasn't the big fold-up sort of kind, but it was just a regular collar that raised up a little more. I used to wear one of those, but it ended up being a little itchy.
Nobody?
I would concern myself with clothes, but I'm paralyzed by not caring very much.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to get the best fashion sense out of this particular crew.
No, libertarians are not the guys you want to ask about clothes, really.
Yeah, I mean, your shirt's pretty fashionable, man. I'm actually, I'm digging it.
He said your shirt is fashionable. He's referring to the Hawaiian shirt.
Well, I am a Hawaiian shirt enthusiast.
That's one of my favorite kind of shirts.
Yeah. Well,
I am joking. Yeah.
They may become almost a uniform someday soon.
Okay.
I honestly hope so.
All right. Well, thanks for the call tonight,
you guys from the northern climates, giving your perspective.
Indeed. Thanks for the call, Penguin. All right.
All right then.
We take all types of callers here, take all types of callers.
It is
all
Free
kinds
Talk of critters to make Farmer Vincent's fritters.
I don't think we're the best fashion advisors, but, we'll give an opinion. Why not?
For what it's worth.
I imagine the fashion is getting to be, wintry in the Northeast in parts like, say, Newark, for example.
I presume we're talking about a crackdown happening, more curfews. They're turning off restaurants after 8 p.m. for indoor dining, outdoor dining by 11 p.m.
Nobody gets hungry after 8 p.m.
Yes, I do. And there's nowhere to go.
You can still order takeout, maybe. It's not real clear. Like maybe you have to stop the takeout at 8 or 11 o'clock. I'm not sure about that. But you won't be allowed to go into the restaurant to order the takeout. You have to call it in. But the other restrictions include gyms and health clubs have to close for a half hour every hour for sanitizing. The city will reassess the curfew and decide by November 10th whether to ease restrictions. Their mayor's name is Ras Baraka. Baraka says, quote, "This is not the first time COVID-19 has threatened our city and its residents at this magnitude, and once again we will..."
COVID-19 is not threatening anything. The government is.
Indeed. But they try to paint it as though it's this sort of, as Trump described it, the invisible enemy, right? This is the new
the enemy
thing.
is very, very visible. They're just very well armed.
They are the individuals who call themselves government.
But it's interesting the propaganda that they are spewing here. So let me continue with his quote. He says, "It has threatened our city and its residents at this magnitude, and once again we will meet this challenge with determination and guided by data. We are Newark strong and can get through this
Is
together."
that like Boston Strong?
It's exactly like that. Same thing coming back again. In fact, I seen a
strong smelling maybe.
Didn't he get evicted?
Boston Strong was evicted via the fact that he couldn't pay his mortgage.
Yeah.
So he had his mortgage pulled out from under him there. Foreclosed, I guess would be the right word. "We are Newark strong and can get through this together. We did it once before and we can do it again."
No, they didn't do it once before. What
Well,
did they do once before?
They
Get
had
through
an
it?
intense
They didn't
crackdown.
get through it.
They did nothing for weeks.
What he's saying is they had an intense crackdown. They then let businesses open a little bit, and now they're cracking down again. So that's what he's saying. They're going to get through this again.
I just feel like these tyrants are toying with people. It's like, you ever have one of those cat toys with a string on the end of a stick, and you kind of like play, just keep it far enough away from the cat to make the cat continue to bounce up and down? That's what these politicians are doing to regular people.
Jump, monkey. All sports activities have been canceled. Open park practices, games, all canceled in the East Ward. All city employees are encouraged to be tested. Newark is discouraging all parties, indoor and outdoor festivals, and large family gatherings until further notice. Now, the word they use in Fox News is discouraging. I suspect it's not an actual discouragement, and it's actually a threat. And that if you have a party, you'll be arrested.
What means do these government agents, these individuals with badges and guns, use to discourage said gatherings?
Threats of violence, I suspect. And then finally, Dr. Mark Wade, the Director of Health and Community Wellness for the city of Newark, had this to say: "Until and even after a vaccine is made available to every Newarker, the most potent..."
What is this obsession with a vaccine?
It's not.
The common cold is a coronavirus, and they've been trying to come up with a vaccine for 100 years. And they haven't found one that works. So what makes them so certain
He's
that
not
there
certain.
will ever be a
The
vaccine
flu is also
for
a
this?
coronavirus, and that comes every year, regardless of the vaccine.
They have to keep changing it. But he's not certain. He says until the vaccine is made available to every Newarker, the most potent immunization we will have available is a decision to take personal responsibility to obey and model the recommendations that keep us all safe. All of us will need each other to get through as individuals, but make sure you stay far away from those people you need.
I'll take my COVID now.
To get through as individuals, neighborhoods, communities, and a city, and to save the lives of those we love the most, each other.
We've got to work together, but stay far apart.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you had enough yet? 855-450-3733. Give us a call and tell us all about it here on Free Talk Live. We've got more coming up for you.
Moose is the German Shepherd, now 11, and he's been an amazing dog. Moose is so active and so alert and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has a beautiful coat, and at 11, he'll still run and chase the ball. He has been on Dynavite since he's a puppy.
Dynavite for life.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road.
DINOVITE.com.
We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dynavite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite from DINOVITE.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey,
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait on the calendar. Now. Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We're covering the continued castration of America. The continued lockdowns that are occurring not only in America, but also elsewhere around the globe. And we'll talk more about that here in just a bit. But tonight in the studio, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE if you would like to call and talk about, anything. You can talk about what we're talking about or something else that you'd like to talk about. We had a call about our fashion sense earlier today. That was sort of out of the ordinary for us. But we'll take all callers. So at any rate, NAPay 2.0 is here. And that means crypto payments are now faster than ever. And quite honestly, I've used AnyPay a whole bunch living here in the Keene area, and I get to use it at some businesses here in town.
I used it today.
And it is super fast.
I think I use it every day.
I used it for dinner on Sunday, and you were right. You said the notification on the customer's terminal comes in before the one on your phone does.
The payment notification.
Yeah. And what I really like is it gives the confetti, like paid.
Yes,
yay.
people love the confetti.
That's pretty awesome. But if you're using Edge Wallet, Handcash, Bitcoin.com, or Dash Wallet, your experience should be smooth. But some wallets aren't yet ready for this impressive new technology. These wallet programmers need to hear from you, the wallet users. Visit anypayinc.com/upgrade to learn why some popular wallets are incompatible with AnyPay 2.0 and reach out to the wallet programmers and encourage them to make payments perfect at anypayinc.com/upgrade. So it's really up to you, the wallet users, to let these wallet creators know that there is help for them to be integrated completely with AnyPay.
Market feedback is important, right? Because if all these guys do is just kind of talk to themselves about what sort of features to put in, they may never come across this. They need to hear from the users. And the same thing's true of this coronavirus crackdown. I'll give you the rest of the story from this owner of a business here in town, who I had heard was approached by the police today, and I went in. I was actually planning on going anyway to get dinner at this place.
Yeah.
And so I spoke to the owner, who is regularly the person that helps me anyway, so that wasn't unusual. And he's wearing a mask now, whereas he never had before, and he was spouting off about health and this and that, as though he was just basically regurgitating what he was told by the agents who had come in. It turns out it wasn't cops, but it was actually the health inspector here in the city of Keene. And there were two guys who were sitting down. They had gotten their food before I'd even walked in, but they kind of had I didn't see any masks like on the table or anything like that, and they kind of had like, you know, a good old boy look to him, right? Little redneck look to him. One guy had a camo hat on or whatever.
Okay.
And so I thought, you know, these guys might be on the good side of, you know, these guys might be anti-mask or in favor of freedom of choice, right?
Okay.
And so I was just talking with the owner of the business about, I mentioned to him, well, hey, just so you know, I'm suing the city of Keene. I'm one of three plaintiffs, including our very own Aria DeMezzo and the owner of the local Pho Keene Great restaurant in downtown Keene, suing the city of Keene over this particular ordinance that these men were threatening with him with. And he seemed surprised by that, and I give him a little bit more information. And obviously, he's not willing to come on board with the lawsuit,
right?
And he actually made a statement similar to, you know, he can't make any waves, right? Because business owners don't want to make waves,
right? They just want to do business, feed their families, make money, and go about their lives.
They want to make their customers happy, and they don't want to go up in a mega fight against the city. I'm like, well, that's okay. That's why I'm doing it, so I can be the bad guy. It's totally fine. I'm used to that role. And I made some statement, and then he started talking to the other two guys, just kind of randomly started to tell them about what the city inspectors had told him. And one of the guys sort of looked up and apologized and said that they'd forgotten their masks. And I'm like, And so I just said, well, you know, it's BS anyway, right? I just kind of threw that into the conversation for the other two guys.
Okay.
And then they started to change how they were behaving. So before it was like they were just so sorry. And then the things that they had started to say after that made it pretty clear that they thought it was also BS as well. So the situation went from the business owner sort of regurgitating the propaganda to his customers, which is what he's been told to do.
Right.
He was told by these agents that he's supposed to tell the customers that they need to have a mask, but the agents told him if the person's push back, if the customers say they don't want to wear it or they're getting angry or whatever, like they said to him, you can stop. You can just say, you know, tell them the one time and then back off. If they say they don't want to be messed with, then just leave them alone, which is interesting because that's not the official policy of the city. The official policy is that the business owner must enforce or else they will be ticketed.
Yeah, I've left a local restaurant business because after the ordinance was passed, because I went in and they said, do you have a mask? I said, no. And they said, well, you have to have one. And I'm like, I used the medical exemption, and they're like, that doesn't matter. You have to have, And I said, okay, bye-bye.
See ya.
I turned around and walked out, and they were like, well, all you have to do is blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, see ya.
You had your chance.
Well,
and that's what I mean. It's like you need to give these people some feedback, not be mean to them.
Yep.
But just to have that conversation openly in front of this business owner made him realize that the 3 people in his shop at that time were not interested in this mandate. And those 2 guys made it crystal clear. And I don't remember exactly what they said, but they made it crystal clear that they weren't interested in wearing masks. So just a little bit of feedback for these people to let them know, hey, not everybody is on this fear train. And not all of your customers want this stuff to happen.
I mean, I would think that most people don't want it.
I don't know.
But I don't know that that's true.
And how would we find out?
Yeah. I think it would take many people seeing many people stand up against it.
Maybe you could do an anonymous phone poll or something like that and ask people that way, because you wouldn't be able to ask them like a man on the street interview.
Right.
Because they're going to be afraid their neighbors are going to see them, especially in a town like Keene when, the person walking behind you probably knows you.
Right.
Or knows somebody who knows you. Like
Right.
there's no more than 1 degree of separation in a town of 23,000.
That's a fact.
So I don't know. I just wanted to give that feedback of what happened today.
It's disheartening to me that the state or the city anyway is sending health inspectors out, right? These are government agents, and of course we know how government agents enforce their suggestions, and that is eventually with men with arms.
Right. And it hadn't gotten to this point yet with this particular owner. It was just them slapping down a copy, a lightly Xeroxed copy. It looked like it had been Xeroxed and Xeroxed over and over again. It lost several generations. But a weak Xeroxed copy of the city ordinance, not an official threatening letter, just 2 intimidating men and a copy of some paperwork that wasn't specifically targeted to this business owner in any sort of official way.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to see what they can do to get compliance, or as much compliance as they can have, because they don't want to have anyone breaking the sort of illusion of total compliance.
Yeah.
They can't have that.
It's the scene from every mafia movie you've ever witnessed. Where
nice store you got here.
The talker guy comes in and he's got Guido and Anthony outside, just looking intimidating.
Right.
He comes in,
They got clubs,
Hey, Mr. Smith,
guns.
where's my protection money? You got to go along, otherwise, you won't be protected. And he's like, protected from what? And they're like, protected from what we'll do to you if we don't comply.
Oh, whoops! Did I break that flower pot over there? Well, it'd be a shame to see something happen to this store. It's a nice place you got here.
Here's a piece of paper with some stuff on it that you have to go along with, and I'm not saying we'll do anything to you, but what I am saying is the organization we work for will.
Yeah.
It's all BS, man. And the effect that all these lockdowns are having on businesses, particularly the small businesses, you can't even count how many small businesses have gone out of business because
no, you can't.
Many of them, either weren't licensed already or, were barely licensed or counted as a small business. All the one-man operations or one-woman operations.
Winter hasn't even started yet. It's going to get worse.
And it's definitely
the crackdowns are going to get worse.
Yeah.
And more businesses are going to close down.
And they're going to use flu season against everybody as well.
Oh, yeah.
So best get prepared. 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Attention business owners body slammed by overwhelming debt. If your business is in trouble, hassled by creditors, if you're frustrated, finally fed up with big business bailouts while your business has been left for dead, please listen close. There's a brand new fast-track bankruptcy. Some have even called it the biggest small business bailout in American history. Designed for individuals and their businesses. And look, almost no one knows about this yet. My attorney wasn't even aware of it. The truth is, beating the system has never been easy because it's rigged in a sense against the little guy. But here's the jaw-dropping news nobody's talking about. They've literally just changed the system so that you can beat it, but only if you understand how the new game has to be played. Find out if you qualify at pocketsoflight.com. This government-backed small business repair program is still legal, but may not be renewed after the election. Fight back fairly, fight back ethically at pocketsoflight.com.
At 58 years of age, I noticed a dramatic energy decline. After a 5-day work week, I had to use one of my days off to rest and recover. I also had cut my gym visits down from 3 times a week to once a week. Since I began using Green Meadow Whey, my energy level has greatly improved. I no longer have to take a day to recover. I have increased my gym visits back to 3 times a week. I'm actually more active and feeling better now than I have in the last 5 years. It's so nice to wake up in the morning feeling good and ready to go. Before trying Green Meadow Whey, I must have tried every whey protein product on the market, and every one of them caused me bloating, gas, and constipation. I've had no such issues with Green Meadow Whey. In fact, I'm sleeping better, my vision has improved, and surprisingly, my emotional and mental state has also improved. I love what Green Meadow Whey has done for me.
Green Meadow Whey comes from milk derived from grass-pastured cows. To order, call 888-988-3325 or visit greenmeadowwhey.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Yes, it's Free Talk Live. Welcome back, everybody. The music you're hearing is by a band called
Rebel Inc.
And that particular song is called Broken Man. It's got some great lyrics, like, I think the words beat down by the government are contained in that one. We did a cover of that at Forkfest this past year. We'll tell you more about Forkfest a little bit later. But 855-450-3733 is our toll-free number. You can give a call, take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever you like. I'm the host tonight. I am the Lord Reverend Captain Kickass, and joining me tonight,
I'm Ian.
And I'm nobody.
And we were continuing to talk about, well, lockdowns, government overreach, the fact that it appears that America is just going to take it, that much like the story we covered on Saturday, the balls of most people have been removed and don't exist, and they no longer know how to stand up for, well, themselves or their neighbors or their families or their businesses. And we'll talk more about that. Did you say you had some more?
I don't know. I mean, I've got all kinds of other things.
Well,
But
we were talking about John McAfee a little bit. He had some fun stuff to say, but I know we mentioned before this last break the effect that all these lockdowns, the government overreach and the demands and the mandates statewide and other have had on businesses, and the suffering that people have gone through, particularly small independent businesses.
Well, it's okay as long as you save one life.
Yeah,
you can destroy thousands of businesses, destroy thousands or millions of jobs, but as long as it saves one life, totally fine. The people actually seem to believe this.
Yeah, it's not really okay. I had an article from a news source that put up a paywall, so I went and got a different article about the same subject because screw the paywall. This is from altpress.com. As most of our listeners know, I spent a couple of decades playing music out in the Seattle, Washington area on the West Coast. And, well, a lot of my people, my musician friends and family and folks that I've spent a lot of time, doing business with or otherwise partying and having fun, et cetera, and so on, are all suffering because nobody's on tour. There are no tours. No bands are on tour. Nobody's playing shows.
Why not an underground show? Why not rent a warehouse?
Well, those are happening.
I wish I'd thought of that.
Those are happening.
Those are happening, but you have to be in the special club.
You got to know who is doing it. They've got to give you an invite. You got to know where the location is. It's probably announced shortly before the event, right? Like they're not promoting the location in advance.
Right. One of my favorite shows to play in Seattle was a charity event called the Porn Jam. And this was where musicians would get together with other musicians that were not in their band or bands and just play a couple of covers, right? So you get a group of 4 or 5 people together, you decide on a couple covers to play, you get up, you play your 2 covers, you get off the stage, and you rotate through that all night for 2 nights in a row. And it would raise money for the local food bank as well as the local animal shelter every year.
Nice.
Not going to happen this year.
Didn't happen, huh?
Well, it's supposed to happen the first week of December.
Canceled.
Yeah.
Couldn't find a venue.
I imagine that that's not happening.
Okay,
so.
but where are the what are you hearing about the warehouse events? Like, what's the skinny on this?
Oh, well, not really warehouse events, but it's more like somebody's house out in the sticks. They got a basement.
In a garage or something?
Yeah,
okay.
that kind of a thing, or in a basement.
How many people are going to these things? 10, 20?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
40?
they're having 100 people ragers in their basement.
Has any been? Yeah.
Seems like with all these closed restaurants, there's got to be a landlord out there in need of some money. If you're such a landlord and you're in Keene, send an email to electnobody.com.
Well, the odds that one of those people are listening, you never know, I suppose. But so, I mean, have any of these parties been broken up?
I'm not aware of any that have been broken up, but that is certainly a risk that they are taking by holding these gatherings, right?
Another risk is the social ostracism. Has there been pushback within like the rest of the rock community of like, you shouldn't be having those underground parties.
If
Shame on you.
Pushback, it's not the rock community because rock and roll fights back.
Do they?
That's what it's about.
I'm not seeing a lot of it. I'm seeing more compliance. I'm seeing more people are like, gosh, I really miss live music. I can't wait till this is all over so we can play shows again.
Well, remember, I think it was you guys that were on the show when we pulled up Dee Snider from, was it Twisted Sister? We're not going to take it.
No,
he's literally put a mask on and dressing like Uncle Sam.
Well, that's why The Who said, I hope I die before I get old.
I'm just saying that to counter what you're saying about the rock community. They've sold out. It's over.
Well, some of them sold out. Some of them sell out every year. And the rest of us keep going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there are exceptions. Van Morrison, of course, is a performer who has spoken out
very loudly.
He's taken heat as a result of that, and that's what a lot of these people don't want to take. Whether it be the local business owner who doesn't want to take heat from their mask-wearing, mask-obedient customers, or the performance artists who don't want to take heat on Twitter or other, Rolling Stone attacking Van Morrison. They don't want to take that kind of heat, so they'll just lay low.
I was lamenting last night, actually, after dinner. Went and hung out with some folks who were there. But after you had left, I kind of went on a rant about how disappointed I am in rock and roll, heavy metal, and punk rock. Right?
Yeah.
These are supposed to be the rebels of the art community, right? The people who are anti and always against stuff and who point out the ridiculousness of what's going on with society. And all of them, as near as I can tell, are just going, Well,
Okay.
I guess we'll have to figure out. I guess we'll just go record now.
Let's go drive-in show.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So, with all of the rock and roll people, whether they're signed and famous or not, or they're just, in a local band or garage band, every musician I know has been to Guitar Center.
Yeah, sure.
They are the nation's largest musical instrument retailer, period. Bar none. Well, it looks like...
Or are they?
Looks like they're preparing to file for bankruptcy.
Wow.
According to the new report, the company is possibly preparing to file for bankruptcy as early as late November of 2020, so in a month.
Now, is this a reorganization kind of bankruptcy?
It appears to be, but let's find out. Obviously, this year has been hard on everyone for a number of different reasons. In particular, retailers have faced various setbacks and financial problems due to, this says, the coronavirus pandemic. We all know it's because government is greedy with their power. Over the past few months, Pier 1 Imports, J. Crew, True Religion, and JCPenney are just a few retailers who have either been sold to other companies or filed for bankruptcy. Now, it looks like Guitar Center may be joining the ever-growing list. According to the New York Times, Guitar Center failed to pay an interest payment of roughly $45 million earlier this month.
Oof. That'll do it.
Wow.
Currently, the retailer has a 30-day grace period to make the payment, or it could end in default, resulting in bankruptcy.
If they don't have it now, they're not going to have it in 30 days. I mean, look, Black Friday is coming up, and we report on it every year here on Free Talk Live, and it is going to be very different this year, if even stores have it.
I think, how is Black Friday even going to happen?
It's probably not, or it will be highly restricted.
Guitar Center may be America's largest instrument retailer, but that hasn't stopped its growing financial problems in 2020. The report further says that Guitar Center has reached out to creditors to discuss its options, which could involve filing for bankruptcy by the end of the year. If the company does so, Guitar Center hopes to recover financially in early 2020.
Right. The only way that's going to happen is if people are able to do musical things,
Right.
Have performances and have reasons to go and buy new instruments and guitar
'cause
strings.
Guess what? If
and-
I can't go play gigs, my gear's not going to break down. I'm
No.
not going to go through strings. I'm not going to need
You don't
new
need new
equipment.
cables.
I don't need new cables. I don't need a new rig. I don't need, all of these things don't happen.
Right.
And so,
I mean, guitar lessons probably aren't even happening either unless it's online.
virtual guitar lessons are happening.
Can you imagine, though? I mean, look, I'm not a guitarist. I did one brief class at a summer camp a long time ago.
Yeah.
But whether it's guitar lessons or yoga or, whatever we're talking about, and Mark, our co-host, does jujitsu, whatever it is, having a human being there to show you the proper form is irreplaceable. You aren't going to get showing somebody how, oh, no, your fingers aren't on the right frets, no, put them here, right? Oh, no, Jimmy, from 1,000 miles away or 60 miles away trying to give the same instructions to somebody, it's not going to be the same experience. It won't be as effective, and it certainly will not be worth as much money.
It's not. I mean, these types of things exist, right? Online guitar courses, and you can download videos of how to learn guitar, and you can learn tablature,
And
all
there's
that
a
kind of
place
stuff.
for that.
And there's a place for all that. But you're right. Nothing replaces having an actual instructor there,
a pro,
to tailor to your needs as the musical student.
Yep.
So it's just like anything else. Any other industry, any other business, you will need that. 855-450-3733. Who's going to go out of business next? More Free Talk Live coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
About to be confirmed. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Senate Republicans say they have the votes to confirm Judge Amy Coney Barrett as the 115th Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Republican John Thune says Barrett is a thoughtful, well-qualified judge who will call balls and strikes. Democrats like Chris Murphy have objected to the process, arguing Republicans are rushing Barrett's confirmation.
Likely because it is really important to effectuate your deeply unpopular agenda through the Supreme Court.
Barrett is expected to sit on the court for arguments over the Affordable Care Act next month. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Majority of Republican-led U.S. Senate votes to confirm the nomination of Judge Barrett. The vote, though, is ongoing. Judge Barrett is expected to be sworn in next hour by Justice Clarence Thomas. This afternoon, during a campaign stop in Pennsylvania, President Trump again called for rival Joe Biden to release a list of judicial nominees.
Joe Biden refuses to release his list of names. Got to live, it's more than just the pack in the court. He's got to say, who's he going to put on? Because we can't have radical left justices that are going to destroy our nation.
Biden made a stop in Chester, Pennsylvania, where he batted back accusations by the president that he will ban fracking.
I'm not shutting down oil fields. I'm not eliminating fracking. I'm investing in clean energy, and we're going to make sure that we don't continue to subsidize the oil companies.
But Biden has been seen on video saying that he would ban fracking. White House coronavirus response coordinator Dr. Deborah Birx says Bismarck, North Dakota had the worst COVID-19 protocols she's seen in her travels around the country after she spent a day looking around the area. America is listening to Fox News.
This year has challenged businesses across the globe to be their most efficient, which means every hire is critical. Indeed is here to help. Indeed.com is the #1 job site in the world because Indeed gets you the best people fast. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need. You can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. Plus, Indeed provides powerful tools to make your search that much easier, like sponsored jobs, which are shown to be 3.5 times more likely to result in a hire. With 73% of online job seekers visiting Indeed each month, Indeed is going to get you the important hire you need, just like they have for over 3 million businesses. Right now, Indeed is offering our listeners a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Try Indeed out with a free $75 credit at Indeed.com/Fox. This is their best offer available anywhere. Go right now to Indeed.com/Fox. Terms and conditions apply. Offer valid through December 31st.
And a Fox News alert repeating our top story. A majority in the Senate has voted to confirm Amy Coney Barrett as a Supreme Court justice. The voting, though, is still underway. A man in Central Florida bulldozing his way into an arrest. I know.
A 26-year-old Haines City, Florida man steals a bulldozer and runs down Joe Biden's signs. That's according to police. The suspect, James Blight, tells police he was too drunk to remember what happened. Haines City police say Blight rips off the machine from a nearby construction site, drives it into a neighborhood, tears down a fence, Biden signs, and even runs down a city-owned speed limit sign. Former Vice Mayor Adam Burgess tells a local TV station that this man grabs 2 Biden signs from his home, then returns with the bulldozer to run down his fence. Burgess says the Central Florida neighborhood is predominantly black and calls it a hate crime. CJ Papa, Fox News.
After 11 years, the city commission.
LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
Hello, this is anchor Doyle Redland. I have just been informed that my 40-year contract with the Onion Radio News expired 2 minutes ago. A brief extension has been added to my contract to allow me to say goodbye to you, my faceless listeners. I've been reading the news out loud on the air for a very long time now, and the words to describe my feelings are difficult to find. Steve, what are you doing? This is my big moment.
I'm getting the word now that you have to leave the studio right now.
But where will I go?
Now.
Well, goodbye, everyone. I'm just coming back for my hat. No, it's my hat. I just need it and I'll go. There's no need to get pushy. Moose! Rocco, I thought we were friends.
Free Talk Live.
Thank you for tuning in to the 3rd hour of the Monday edition of Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-3733. That is 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. You can give a call and take control of the airwaves. With you in the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Yeah, it's Ian.
And nobody.
And we have been talking about, well, many things surrounding the government's greed for power, including more lockdowns, including its effects on small businesses, and, yes, even some very large ones. Guitar Center looks like it is preparing to file for bankruptcy as it has missed a $45 million interest payment.
That's a lot. But, you know, this is also probably affecting local guitar shops as well. I can tell you, Captain, I think it was before you moved to the Keene area, there used to be a place called Cheshire Music.
Okay.
And they, if I recall correctly, they moved their location and then ultimately closed down. Just because the whole online ordering thing was putting them under, basically. They couldn't do enough as a local business to differentiate themselves well enough from whatever was available online. And at some point they threw in the towel, and this was before COVID. This was just... So a lot of this is accelerating the fall of older business models that were sort of holding on for dear life.
Yep.
How much of that is true with Guitar Center? I suspect some of it is.
There is one local music shop, guitar type place.
Yeah, there used to be 2
here in town. And I met a guy who works there. I didn't get the chance to actually go in and visit anybody. I was going to take my guitar in and get it set up, but I didn't get to before, well, the government decided to close everything because COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I can't imagine those guys are paying their rent. I don't know how they would unless they all just decided to give online guitar lessons or something, I don't know. But just to finish up, Guitar Center is the nation's largest musical instruments retailer. And so this is, I used to work for Loud Technologies back in the day. They make Mackie products. They had Crate as their brand name. They had St. Louis Music as one of their brands, EAW. They were basically a company that had a bunch of brands under them.
Mm-hmm.
And Guitar Center was very important to them. Very, very important. And it is to any musical manufacturer.
Yeah, you want to get your products
in
in
your
there.
stuff in Guitar Center. That's, if you can do that, you've made a go of it, right? You can get all the other stuff going on if you can do that. So Guitar Center has also managed to avoid bankruptcy once already this year.
Okay. Bad
So
sign.
this isn't just like
they're teetering.
Yeah, this isn't just like, oh, well, maybe we can get through this. This is, they avoided it once already. Back in April, the retailer resolved a skipped interest payment that impacted its credit rating. According to the credit ratings agency Moody's, the transaction did not fundamentally change the company's, quote, untenable, unquote, capital structure. However, it was the third cut in Guitar Center's credit rating this year. Rough. Yeah. And I mean, there are online they've tried to move to an online play. Musician's Friend is pretty much and Amazon is competing, now with all of that kind of stuff too. So I don't know how it's going to turn out, but sad
it
news.
Doesn't look bright.
It does not. Let's go to your calls and your thoughts. We've got Robert calling from Bellows Falls, Vermont. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening, Captain. How are you?
I'm good, man. What's up?
All right. Well, I'm not doing too bad for a man of my age.
What's on your mind tonight?
But hey, I don't know if the music industry is going to take a big hit. I mean, a little bit. I mean, there's so many songs that are out there, even songs that that I have never heard of. I mean, probably maybe that they've ran out of ideas for different chords and stuff like that. But
That's not what's going to hurt them. There will continue to be songs.
Yes,
People will continue.
Songs will continue to be made. What I'm talking about has happened is that nobody, even the rebels, the rock and roll rebels, right? The hard rock, the heavy metal, the punk rock. These guys can't make any money. First of all. Right, they can go make records, but they can't go on tour. Right, the money from touring has all been basically generated for the artists nowadays with merchandise, T-shirts, CDs, cup
Can't
holders.
sell merchandise if you don't get in front of people.
Right, you can't sell your merch if you don't go on tour. So that's my beef with what's going on. Plus, all of the venues have closed, so you can't go on tour at all.
The venues are now begging for a bailout.
Yep. And that's unfortunate, I mean, I think it's a combination. They're conditioning people to change their guitars into, for an AR-15. I mean, I think that we're at war. That's why we're at this, where we're at right now.
See, I think they're conditioning people to trade in their guitars for slave collars, but I think the alternative to that is we start picking up AR-15.
Captain, didn't we talk about a movement of hashtag Save Our Stages, where a lot of these venues are petitioning the government for some sort of a bailout or whatever?
We did. That happened, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw at the local Colonial Theater in downtown Keene, they've got a marquee out front where they sometimes put their opinion about things. And it said hashtag Save Our Stages, referencing this particular thing. And I just thought, you guys are the same venue that's been cheering this stuff on. They've been cheering on the "we're all in this together."
Mm-hmm.
They've had, phraseology like that, statements on their marquee throughout this entire thing. And now they want help. Now, after they've been cheering on the crackdown, it's their turn to come up to the government trough.
Well, the Save Our Stages thing, in my opinion, from what I read on it, is an appeal to authority. It's just, oh, can we please have a bailout because, we've been shut down because you guys said, oh, well, we can't have crowds anymore. We can't do our business. We can't conduct our business as we normally do. So.
And they're not willing to take a risk and actually open the doors and hold a show.
Right.
So they're just begging to try to stay on, life support.
No, everybody's too chicken-ass to defy the authority to have a frickin' rock show, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I know that the two things I can think of that are not going to go away is cannabis and firearms. It's inevitable. It's always going to be there.
That much is true.
Yep.
People are smoking weed still.
Well, I appreciate the call.
Count on that.
Appreciate the call, Robert. Have a good one. It is very, very sad, the state of affairs with music in particular. Artists are attempting to do things. They're attempting to work around this stuff, but I don't see anybody straight up rebelling. I don't see anybody going, hey, we're going to play a free concert at, in this park or, in the town square or whatever, that kind of a thing.
Maybe it's happening. It may be happening out there, but the media doesn't want to report on that. They're not interested in reporting on people actually standing up because that looks bad. It doesn't go on. It doesn't go along with the narrative, this obedience narrative. They have to have everybody obeying, and no one can break the ranks.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, it's not just the musicians, right? So don't get me wrong. I love my musician brothers and sisters, but it's the stagehands, it's the sound guys, it's the venues themselves, it's the
bartenders,
cooks, the bartenders, the
waitresses.
janitors, the people who clean up after a show. All these things.
All done.
And some of these are just part-time jobs, or they contract out to some independent guy. That's not a full-time gig. You can't, you can't clean up a venue full-time. But all of these jobs are gone. None of these people are doing these things, so all of that money is gone. And it's not just limited to music either. It's limited live theater of any kind. We're talking, plays. We're talking Broadway-style musicals, community theater. All of this kind of stuff has been affected in the exact same way. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll take more of your calls and thoughts, and we've got more for you coming up on Free Talk Live.
Moose is the German Shepherd and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has been on Dinovite since he's a puppy. DINOVITE.com. We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dinovite.
Dinovite for life.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com. Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
That is affirmative. He said, yeah. I was just re-describing. Now he's laughing at me. Ha ha.
You can't play music anymore.
Yeah. Can't go on tour. Apparently can't buy anything from Guitar Center coming up pretty quick. That's for sure. It is Free Talk Live. 855-450-3733 is our number. We'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a moment. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And ForkFest 2021 is coming up. And, near as I can tell, this will be held.
It's your chance to do a thing.
Yeah, indeed it is. You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. Also means nobody can shut it down. That also means there's no ticket
I'm not
cost.
letting nobody shut it down.
Nobody wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I hope nobody doesn't do that. There's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? I can't think of anywhere better. You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021, and we'll see you at forkfest.party. That's party, P-A-R-T-Y, not
Yes,
P-A-R-T-A-Y.
indeed.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Joe calling from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Joe, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I've been a huge music fan since I was a kid. I came up in the punk hardcore era of the late 80s and early 90s, and I still love it.
Nice.
It's one of the things I'm looking forward to is live concerts again. But
when's the last time you saw one?
I think it was Flair. It was a while ago,
right?
But
yeah, well, concerts have stopped, so
yeah, you got to be. Most of these musicians, though, man, they're they're posers, man. These guys are rebelling against this the government and all this stuff and their music, but they're leftist. You got to be, and you can't expect them to stand up. I mean, you got to be an established big name to take a stand in any, acting, the music business, any of that stuff. Otherwise, you get dogpiled and you're basically committing career suicide.
Yeah, well, Van Morrison, he's old enough to where he doesn't care. Like, maybe he's always been that way, but he's also got the benefit of he's at the end of his life. So it doesn't really matter what he does. And he can take a stand like that. A lot of these other guys, they're too cowardly. They're worried about losing their fans.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's an image, man. Like, the whole punk thing, it was all rebellion and all that back when it started. But a lot of it now, it's just, it's phony, fake. And there are a few people that'll occasionally say things, but like the singer of Slayer, I believe he said some pro small government stuff a while back, and he got dogpiled by his buddies.
Yeah, that's true. Tom Araya has spoken on occasion. There's been a few others who've spoken something close to rebelliousness, but I haven't seen anybody act on it. I haven't seen anybody defy any of these lockdown orders in order to throw a concert. I know there was a rock band called Caius.
Didn't Great White do it? Sorry to interrupt you.
You are right. Great White did hold something in South Dakota.
It was one of those states where there weren't a whole lot of restrictions.
But outside of those outliers, there's certainly not a lot of it happening for people who are supposedly the rebels. You are right, Joe.
Yeah, it's kind of. I guess at my age, I'm not surprised by it, but there's no people in this society. If you really, we just got a generation of sheep coming up, man. They'll follow anything. They're scared of the government. It's I don't know.
I don't see much leadership from older people, though.
Yeah, true.
It's like I try.
Yeah, well, that's just it. If you're up in the years and you're retired, all your kids are grown up, you don't have the standard excuses that a lot of activists do, because a lot of times, an activist that was a good activist will become a, retired activist when they have kids, because then they'll say, oh, I don't want the government to take my kids from me, therefore I won't take any significant risks doing activism. Well, if you're 70, 75 years old and all your kids are grown up, then what do you got to lose?
Yeah, actually, they're the ones who should be standing up, because it's their grandkids and their kids who are going to have to deal with all this nonsense.
And they're also old enough to remember when it was better, when there were more freedoms in the United States. They're old enough to have had this perspective. Whereas, young people these days, if you're 18 years old, you've never been through an airport before the TSA.
That's true.
Yeah, the whole world changed after 9/11. The Patriot Act, all that stuff, man. It's like they're, I hate conspiracy theories and all that, but they're clamping down. They've been slowly doing it, and it seems like they're not going to let go.
Indeed. It's been a progression of one fake emergency after the other, from the Cold War to the war on drugs to the war on terror to the war on COVID, and eventually they're not even going to feel they have to lie anymore, and then it will openly be a war on us.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Joe?
All right. Yeah, that's it, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks for listening.
Have a good one.
Yeah, I'm again disappointed in the musicians, even coming up when I did, like Joe, I was an 80s kid, right? I discovered I didn't like pop music.
You were an 80s teen, weren't you?
I was born in 72.
Okay.
So, my older siblings were listening to like arena rock and top 40, Casey Kasem, all that stuff. I discovered heavy metal by accident.
Yeah.
And it was because the 80s were the most over-decorated generation, I think, on planet Earth, right? And like this heavy metal I discovered were just like kids in jeans and t-shirts and just getting on stage rocking out. And so I was attracted to that because they were defying the norm. That's what I was attracted to. They were defying what I perceived as the musical norm. And so I was drawn to that. And so, but even before that, in the 60s, right, every social movement has had its music, right? Or every travesty, every tragedy, all that stuff, right? 4 Dead in Ohio, and all the anti-war songs from the hippies during the Vietnam War and all that kind of stuff.
Well, now
right?
those rebels are the power structure.
Yeah, and so where are the people who are reflecting this horrendous time that we are being subjected to at the hands of the authoritarian government?
They're apparently in New Hampshire.
Reflecting that in their music. So,
not that many.
I don't see it happening.
Van Morrison.
Yeah, he seems to be the only one. 855-450-3733 is our number if you would like to give us a call and talk about whatever's on your mind.
I saw an article today about the Tool lead singer going off on people who don't believe in, the pandemic or whatever.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
what
he
a
got
tool.
sick.
Yeah, living up to it. Oh, I see the S is silent, not like most stools I know. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
News from news.bitcoin.com. The U.S. government moves to regulate cryptocurrencies after the Attorney General publishes enforcement framework. $4.8 billion still missing from the Silk Road. Some of the oldest Bitcoins were just moved. Is Satoshi Nakamoto back in the game? Publicly traded companies move more cash into Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. The live on-air call-in talk show. We're also online as well on LRN.FM, freetalklive.com, assorted other places. But yes, you can call in and take control of the airwaves. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The number is toll-free. And in the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And we've been talking about all sorts of things, but mostly how the government and their greed for power, particularly surrounding the latest in the boogeyman episodes, the COVID supposed pandemic, has affected businesses. And we've talked about many things. We've talked about rock and roll. We've talked about Guitar Center. Looks like they're filing bankruptcy. Ian, you had a story. When musicians tour, generally they take buses. And if you're a musician on a budget, sometimes you have to charter a bus to go and do a thing. And then, of course, there's the tourism industry that uses these charter buses, but something's going on and they're in danger of going away?
Well, I mean, this seems like an obvious story, right? I mean, if people aren't going out of their homes, they certainly aren't traveling, and they're certainly not traveling in groups, which is, of course, what the tour bus industry was based around. I mean, how many of us haven't been on the roads driving from wherever to wherever and seen these massive coach buses going down the road full of old ladies or full of Asian tourists, right, or full of the local baseball team, right? Like these are the types of people that are taking these tours.
All the retirees to the casino.
They would do that.
Yeah,
exactly. And now the retirees aren't allowed to go anywhere. Clarence Cox from CNN took over, where the story is, Clarence Cox took over a 35-year-old motor coach business from his father and uncle and had hopes of one day giving it to his daughters. But with a $5 million fleet parked for months during a pandemic, and by the way, the government's the pandemic.
Oh, it certainly is.
And no federal aid, his goal is now just to make it to the end of 2020. His business, Georgia Coach Lines, is one of the thousands of small family-owned bus companies across the United States, urging Congress to approve immediate aid. Unlike the airlines or Amtrak, the motor coach industry hasn't received any funding from the $2.2 trillion CARES Act passed by Congress in the spring. That's right.
Well, neither of the people.
Well,
oh no, you get $1,200.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Remember, Give Me Liberty or Give Me $1,200. Remember that?
Wow. So that's like, how much is that a week? How long have we been prisoners?
Well,
it's like
at least
20 bucks a week.
35 weeks now. So yeah.
Wow, that's like 33 cents a week.
Yeah, you can buy a cup of coffee.
33 bucks a week.
Peter Pantuso, president and CEO of the American Bus Association, said, "I can't really identify for you why we haven't been included. Apparently, you didn't have enough political friends. That's why." The American Bus Association estimates that private buses provide 600 million passenger trips a year, or they did previously, second only to commercial flights.
I know why, because buses aren't essential.
Well, that's basically what they're saying. Pantuso said 80,000 of the industry's 100,000 employees have been furloughed this year. The American Bus Association said the industry usually sees $15 billion in revenue each year. In 2020, so far, the companies have only brought in 4. The motor coach industry, that means they're actually doing better than the movie theaters. The motor coach industry, along with the school bus industry and passenger water vessel companies, are now collectively asking Congress to approve $10 billion in loans and grants. So that's what everybody's doing. They're all bellying up at the trough. They're all begging, pour that money, that government money, down our throats.
And what happens when they get that government money is it increases the amount of inflation of the money supply, because the government has to get that money from somewhere. So they get it from the Federal Reserve, who just prints it up out of thin air. They don't create it. It's not backed by anything. They just print it. So it creates more money supply, which means that the more of this they do, the more of these bailouts they do, the more cash they inject into the system. Whenever you hear about quantitative easing or anything like that, that's what they're doing. They're just printing money out of thin air, tossing it into the system, and making the dollars you already have worth even less.
Right. They're effectively hurting their customers, but they don't realize that.
Right.
They're hurting the entire economy.
If the government really wanted to give some financial aid to these ailing businesses, they would just go ahead and lift all their frickin' restrictions.
Sure.
That would fix it.
But then they would look like they weren't, quote, doing anything.
It looked like they'd do something to me.
I wish they wouldn't do anything.
I heard you.
That would be a great idea.
Unfortunately, while you may be correct, and while maybe some of the people in these businesses understand what inflation is, I suspect many of them don't.
Isn't that the libertarian concept of government? We're going to take over your government and leave you alone.
And have it do nothing?
Yeah. Leave you alone, let you do what
Wouldn't
you
that
want.
be nice?
Take over the world and leave it the hell alone.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as many people might realize, what you're saying, Captain, is true. That doesn't stop them from going ahead with begging for the bailouts, because ultimately,
oh, please, master, please, king, may you please kick me down an extra loaf of bread?
Yeah, well, if you know
government is that great fiction through which everyone tries to live at the expense of everyone else.
That's what we're seeing happening right now, and the thing is, you, to some extent, can't blame a business for trying to get some of this money. I mean, we know some people in the libertarian community, I'm not going to name names, who did actually acquire some of these, what do they call them, PPP loans or something like that? I don't know what it stands for, but personal whatever. Anyway, they took these loans because the money's there.
They were available.
Well, if your choices are to rob or be robbed, the rational thing to do is rob. Your parents or your neighbors are not refraining from robbing you blind, so why should you not rob them back?
Right, get a piece of the action, and that's ultimately all the bus lines want. They just want a piece of the bailouts.
They want a piece of us, is what they want, and no country can live, no country can survive by just robbing each other. You have to produce something.
That's right. And this is not going to work. They seem to think that this is going to bridge some sort of a gap. That, it'll just be temporary. We're just going to take some money just to keep our business alive. And then all of a sudden,
just until the politicians stop being power hungry?
Yeah.
Good luck waiting for that.
Yeah.
Well, it won't happen until the system that gives them incentive to use their power-hungry, greedy, authoritarian, tyrannical powers, right, goes away.
Right. I mean, plenty of people understand what's going on, but how many libertarians refuse the $1,200 check? It wouldn't have made any difference if you did, so you might as well go ahead and deposit it, right?
I didn't take it.
It's refusing taxes is what would help.
Sure.
Refusing a payment isn't going to do anything.
Correct.
Because your neighbors have already been robbed.
That's right. And refusing not only to pay taxes, but refusing to obey. I think that's one of the most important things.
That's the big thing.
That's the taxation thing is a subset of refusing to obey.
Correct.
Right. I would like to see more people refusing to obey. Where are the balls in America? Where are they?
So the bus
They're bouncing to the left and to the right. It's my belief that my big balls should be held up.
That's funny. We were just talking about that song last night, too. Yeah. The American Bus Association said the industry usually sees $15 billion in revenue every year. Quote, every small business, I think, across America is hurting at some level, said the ABA guy. He said, but there are very few other industries that are almost completely shut down with no hope of coming back for at least 6 months next year, and then it'll be a slow recovery. So he's saying, look, our industry is more important. Our industry is essential. You need to help us out. And this is basically what all of them are arguing. And it's understandable. Your business is essential. Whatever it is that you do, it's essential to your happiness, it's essential to your customers' well-being, and it's essential to the well-being of your employees. It's essential.
Hey, you know what's not essential? Government.
Yeah. That's the problem.
They're a big leech on the face of society, doing nothing but sucking your blood in the form of money. Have you had enough yet? 855-450-3733. No, I guess people are gluttons for punishment, and they just want more and more. Speaking of more, we've got more for you coming up. We'll take your calls and thoughts on Free Talk Live.
There's nothing worse than thinking that your Medicare benefits are going to cover routine medical expenses like vision, dental, and prescription benefits, only to find that when an emergency arises, your Medicare plan is full of gaps that don't even begin to cover your medical emergency. How would it feel to have to go into debt because your Medicare program didn't cover everything 100%? Studies show that 95% of Medicare recipients pay more than $5,000 per year on out-of-pocket medical expenses. At snapmedicare.com, we understand how important it is for you to be prepared for any type of medical emergency. All it takes is a quick phone call to 800-286-5516 to find out exactly where you stand with your Medicare coverage and to save thousands on future costs. Call 800-286-5516 to make sure your Medicare plan includes provisions to cover any gap in coverage. Whether you have questions about Part A or Part B Medicare coverage, remember, call 800-286-5516. SnapMedicare.com. Call 800-286-5516.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from MyPatriotSupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's MyPatriotSupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the final segment of this Monday night edition of Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-3733. We might have enough time to get to you. We've got some callers on hold. We'll get to you in just a moment. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
I'm Ian.
And I'm nobody.
And I want to thank tonight's amplifier, Lord Porcupine. I've actually met this particular person, and I want to know when you're coming out to another one of our events, Lord Porcupine. But even if you don't, thank you very much for being a platinum level amplifier. If you don't know what an amplifier is, go over to amp.freetalklive.com and you can find out all about the program there. It stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote, and the dollars that you contribute go to getting our talk radio program onto more radio stations. Right now we're on around 190. We could be on 200. We could be on 250, 300. It all depends on you. That's amp.freetalklive.com. Lord Porcupine, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's go right away to your calls and your thoughts. We have Mark in New Mexico. Mark, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, nobody.
Yes.
Yeah. You said something about having a restaurant around the area that wasn't beholden to the laws around there or something like that. So basically what I'm proposing is that I have a 53-foot trailer. I'm a truck driver.
Okay.
I got a trailer I can bring there and park wherever the hell anybody wants it to be parked at. And you can run a restaurant out of it. And captain and play run a band out of it.
Wow, your guess was right.
Double wide truck.
The captain totally guessed that that was actually why you were calling with the.
Wow,
yeah,
it's an interesting idea.
I can do it.
What I was really hoping to do was to rent a restaurant for a night and either get some strippers or a band.
Rent my trailer, and you can have both of them.
Yeah, I'm like, why not both? I'm with Mark. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there would be room in that?
It's a full-on trailer.
I'm 100% sure of it. What is it? Captain, help me out.
Is it possible you're too high to drive this truck, though? I mean, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, he'll come down if so.
I mean, if it's there, I'm not driving it. But
wait, how is it going to get to us?
What goes up must come down.
Okay.
What goes up must come down.
Now, is this just because you're completely out of work and you're just that desperate to have somebody, hire you?
That's a terrible question, isn't it?
I'm just asking. It's a legitimate one, isn't it?
It's a stupid question. No, it's not a legitimate question.
So you're not out of work? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say anything.
Okay, well, I'm trying to ask you so we can have a conversation about, what's motivating you to offer to drive from, what was it, New Mexico? All the way across the country.
No, I'm currently in New Mexico. Okay, That's not what's motivating me. What's motivating me is the same thing as motivating you.
You want to party?
Liberty, reason, decency, passion.
I appreciate that. But don't you think there's a lot of people in New England that have tractor trailers available for rent if we wanted to pay them to do that?
Do you want me to actually answer that question?
Well, normally when I ask a question, it does suggest I would like an answer. But you can keep being obstinate if you'd like.
Well, I'm not being whatever the hell you said that I was trying to be. But what I was trying to be is exactly what I called to tell you what I was trying to be.
That's very nice of you.
Okay.
Yeah, very nice.
What would it cost?
Well, I don't care if it was nice.
What would it cost to rent a trailer from across the country?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Zero.
How the hell are you going to get up here? Gas isn't cheap. I mean, it's kind of cheap, but it's still going to cost a lot of money to drive an entire, 18-wheeler
tractor trailer.
Did you not answer your own question?
Huh?
How am I going to get there? I'm going to drive there.
So you're going to donate the gas to get up here? I mean, that's awfully generous.
Well, it's not gas, it's diesel.
Okay. All right, I can't have a conversation with this guy.
Mark, we appreciate the call.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, brother. We'll see you in New Hampshire. Sure.
It's so weird though, because we do screen the calls and the little note popped up and it said something about a 53-foot tractor trailer, and I was like, the creative part of me is like, maybe like he wants to let us use it for like a band stage.
Apparently, he's willing to do it for free. Now you only get it.
I mean, Mark, when you sober up, feel free to email nobody at electnobody.com.
Yeah, because nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the only other problem is now you've got a tractor trailer. Where do you park it?
I have a couple of places I could suggest, but I'm not
right
going to say
in front
them
of the
on
police
air.
station.
Yeah,
Yes.
There you go. I like it.
I'll
look forward to attending.
I'm trying to remember who the band was. It was a bad 80s band. It was either like Slade or maybe Jackal, where they did a publicity stunt. Basically, they rented a flatbed trailer and pulled into, I believe it was a Kmart parking lot or something along those lines, one of these department stores, and just played their loud rock and roll music for a crowd of whomever gathered around who was there, and then eventually the cops show up and arrest them and whatever, and so they got publicity for that kind of a thing, and so that's always a thing in the back of my head.
That could work now.
That kind of a thing.
But that could work now, right? Like if you've got a new band or like you want to get some publicity for your band, that'd be the way to do it.
Yep.
Well, we still gotta find a venue.
Well, no, he was just saying you just pop it up in a parking lot somewhere and just start playing and get arrested.
Yep.
Yeah, but I really, I mean, I've been in the back of a trailer. I don't think you could have a band.
No, I'm talking about a
truck.
flatbed. Right, so imagine an outdoor state.
Like you guys did at
flatbed. You could
at
achieve the same thing by standing on a dock, but the thing is, it's cold outside
right now. Yes, right. I'm not talking about doing it in November.
I was talking about doing it sometime soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you could rent a warehouse, you could do it any time of the year. You could get a band in there.
Hey, did you hear about the horny guy who couldn't spell? He spent the night at a warehouse.
Yeah, well. Thanks, Dad.
I've dad jokes here on Free Talk Live. Let's go to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, let me add on to that truck driver's call in Albuquerque. But that reminds me of that old AC/DC video, my favorite one, that It's a Long Way to the Top with Bon Scott on the on the flatbed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They did that too.
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah, it's a great video, great song. You got to look at it on. I think it's on YouTube. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
During the break, we were talking about that AC/DC actually has a new album coming out in like 2 or 3 weeks.
The new song is called "Shot in the Dark," which totally sounds like a double entendre.
But hey, Albuquerque. So what was going on with that truck driver is Albuquerque's got a killer blizzard just went through, and all the roads are completely parking lots because of ice. Nobody can move at all, and so
wait, what? You've got a blizzard in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Yeah, for real, man. And but
there
anyway,
has been a lot of snow in the middle part of the country, but that's a little south than I'd expect. How often does that happen?
Pretty frequently, actually. The way where Albuquerque sits between the eastern weather systems and the western ones, there's kind of a clash and a borderline there, and there's some really violent, dramatic weather that happens all through here. Yeah, and in the winter, people think that New Mexico is warm in the winter. Only southern New Mexico is warm in the winter. The rest of it is like a witch's, booby. But anyway, so anyway, that truck driver, he got to knock off work early. That's why he's getting to celebrate a little bit, and he won't have to go out first thing in the morning likely either. He's going to be parked probably half the day tomorrow, so he gets to have some fun. So cut him some slack.
Okay, so now I understand why you say that was his issue, because I didn't see how a blizzard between him and me would make him more anxious to drive here for free.
So, let me tie this into the lockdown. So the governor has locked down the state, right? And she came out. She's been keeping these restaurants closed, trying to kill them for months now. And she just tightened down the restrictions again. And they're still only allowed. They get like 50% or 75% in their outdoor tents that they set up. That they got to put heaters in, in the parking lot.
Wow,
and they can only have. Yeah, and they can only have 25% indoors. And so whatever business
Good luck
they were
staying
having
open.
outdoors,
Thanks for the call, David. We appreciate it. That's all we have for tonight. FreeTalkLive.com. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
From New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling author Larry Correia comes the latest chapter in the epic military fantasy saga of The Forgotten Warrior, when the Grand Inquisitor perverts the law in his genocidal plot to kill every man, woman, and child in the untouchable caste. Only the traitor, Ashok Vadal,